Technical difficulties? I hope not. Let's see. I can't tell. Where's the stream? Where's the stream? Oh, where's the stream? YouTube. Oh, hi, stream. All right, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. I did have a weird technical difficulty. It happens. But I am here, and hopefully everyone can hear me. I can be heard. Great. So I thought we would go to. I had a lot of fun, and a lot of people seem to really have a lot of fun with the stream yesterday. So I thought, why not keep those good times rolling? And how do folks feel before I get super into it? How do folks feeling about this 1 p.m. versus ish? Because 1:20, 1 p.m. ish versus 4 p.m. ish. I will vary it up, but how folks has the move to 4 o'clock? I feel like, or it seems to me that more folks are able to tune in. Not necessarily the folks I see in chat, but I just think folks in general, when I get a little number indicating how many eyeballs are on, and I thought there was a bit of a higher number at the 4 p.m. However, well, I don't know how they're watching folks. It seems like it's terms of the few, the proud, those who are kind of active in the chat seem to be about the same. But I know we have some European folks and some folks from across various seas for whom 4 p.m. might not work. Oh, Perkins, you're in Oregon. Ooh boy. Ooh boy. 10 a.m. So let me know. I probably will do a various. I will probably do some 4 p.m., some 1 p.m. Not sure. So there was some stuff I didn't get to yesterday because just didn't have time. Things get away from me as they are wont to do, but not for lack of trying. Folks have pointed out I just didn't have really a chance to eyeball it too much at the time. There were some other tables in the back of here. 217, where we get dungeon dressings. I can go back through and do some dungeon dressing. I also wanted to look at how wide the corridors were. I had this wild idea to go into dungeon draft and draw out, start to work on the actual map. But the problem is, I don't use dungeon draft very much at all. So I don't have a good workflow. I'm not precise. I don't know how to do things. And I was already finding it just 5 minutes before I was trying to go live, just trying to get that first room and then that 45-degree passage. And I was having troubles. Not to say the dungeon draft is incapable of doing it, but I don't know the dungeon draft necessarily dungeon draft method maybe to get that done. So I might do that offline, or I might just draw it out kind of old school style. Um, yeah, we'll see. Frederick Gorkson, Arizona, they don't change time, but the rest of you do. Actually, I don't think anybody does anymore. At least I believe that I think we've now settled on Eastern. Was it? I forget. Whatever did DT daylight, not daylight savings, but day. Whatever the Eastern time is, I think it's not changing anymore. I think they've it's been abolished. It's been canceled. Hey, Gashrin. Okay. Okay. Now page 217. Which I did bookmark here. It's Appendix I if you're following at home. It's for dungeon dressing, and it actually gives a ton of stuff. I don't even know when the last time I looked at some of these are. It might have been since like 1985 or something. Got my dice over here. So I might just try to be. Well, let's see what all the tables. So let me go through and I will. That over there. I will lay out what we have here. We've got tables for air currents, odors, the quality of the air, then general stuff, unexplained sounds and weird noises, then general furnishings and appointments, religious articles and furnishings, torture chamber furnishings, magic user furnishings, and then we can have general container contents, miscellaneous utensils and personal items, clothing and footwear, items and jewelry, typically bejeweled, food and drink, also separately, condiments and seasonings. Frederick Works says that Benjamin Franklin's ghost is crying over the abolishment of daylight savings. Yeah, it's just we don't need anymore. We're not an agrarian society for the most part, so it's no longer necessary, I guess. So that's Appendix I. So there's a lot. We got a lot here. There's a lot. Unfortunately, they don't have what I would have liked. It's some kind of master table. Well, let's uh let's roll some dice and let's see. And I think kind of what the theme was for from yesterday was how can we take these elements and help us just to start to visualize what the heck this thing is supposed to be. Oh yeah, Perkins. I do want to shout out Perkins. If you go to forums.hex.press and you look for the forum entry for yesterday's stream, you'll see Perkins went through and made a little a little mini dungeon himself using similar tools. I do have the Tome of Adventure Design digitally. I gotta pull that out, but we'll see what we get here. Starting with the DMG, and then we'll see what we can see later what we can get out of the Tome of Adventure Design. So I guess let's look at well, what should we do first? Let's see. Well, first, let's see. We don't need for the entrance room. I want to start with a dead end. Learning Scott asks if this is the demon versus kobold dungeon you are continuing. Yes, indeed, it is. We're continuing yesterday's dungeon. So I'm not going to roll in the air currents table because, of course, there's I don't know if there's any. I would say maybe that the air, a very slight breeze from the secret door. I might make a note. Very slight breeze. How do you spell emanate? Is that one M or two? It'll tell me. Emanates from secret door. I'm not, as usual with these generators, if you already have an answer that you want to use or that you think is relevant, then don't roll on the table. So keeping in mind that we have this secret door and I want there to be some clues, if you will, to the secret door, then I'm just going to use that breeze, that air current, to give that chance on the, or give that kind of indication of the secret door. But now for the odors. Oh my die. Oh no, the die is rolled behind me and like out of sight. I have lost the die. All right, I'll get that later. So that's 40, 46. We've got an earthy smell. Okay. Earthy smell. That's kind of vague. Not doesn't really say too much. So I would have kind of hoping, and I could have overrated it and say, you know what, there's all kinds of demons in action. So putrid. Oh, there's the die. Putrid. Or maybe acrid or something would have been the way to go. We'll go with earthy. Ozone. You can get salty, you can get sulfurous, urine, all kinds of lovely smells. Oh, let's see. Frederick's saying since it went off the table, I should re-roll. All right. I wasn't super happy with that roll anyway. See if I can angle this another way so it doesn't. 55. 55 gives me a manure smell. That's not any better than earthy. I'll stick with earthy. Manure. Well, actually, I'll use manure. Maybe that's a sign of, maybe that's something that the kobolds are doing to kind of keep people away, is have it smell like crap. So manure smell. All right, now the air, is it clean? Is it, what do we got for air here? Air quality now, 56. Clear. All right, so I'm not going to make a note because I don't need to make any notes. Now we get to this table of just kind of general muckety muck. Could be all kinds of stuff. There's, unfortunately, and this is, if it's true in the DMG, it's like quadruply true in something like Judges Go, where they give you no guidance at all, really, or just the least guidance you could possibly imagine for how to use these tables, how many times they think you should roll, So for general stuff, I'm going to roll a d4 to see how many of these general entries I'm going to roll. I got 2. So we're getting 2 things. D100 again. First thing I got is 54. We've got guano. So maybe there's some bats. I'll put a random chance that there's some bats hanging out. Or maybe I'll just put a note here. Oh, what do we say? 3d6. There we go. Got some guano. Say there's some bats. Let's see. Brian Smith says it's usually easy enough to answer direct focus questions such as what is the air quality like in here? Yep, absolutely. And Perkins says they might note down a few things, but it's easy to imagine the situation and go with what comes to mind in the moment. Yeah, I think that's generally what I like in my dungeon notes. I would agree with that because I think it is once you have I feel like you get a nice once you get a certain amount of framework, scaffolding, then it's easy to kind of fill in the gaps. But you kind of need to get to that level of scaffolding that you're comfortable with as a GM. This one is 61. 61 gives a leather boot. There is a leather boot. Whoops. All right, we got a leather boot. I was just thinking because we have this. That would be great. You know what? It's probably like a leather boot, just stuck in guano from the one of the. It's a nice moment. One of the adventuring party in the entrance got their boot stuck in a nasty pile of guano and just left it there. George says the boot's making the manure smell. Actually, the manure smell, we just tie that to the guano. So the guano actually kind of makes sense. So we got all this kind of crap smell. I mean, though I suppose we might want to change that to sulfurous, but I'll just say a smell from the guano. Smell from the guano. All right, so that's in that dead end room. So we got some nice little deets there. It turns out we kind of just because we have the guano in there, so I'm adding some bats. We can add, I would maybe come back to this and say they're not going to really attack. They're just going to fly out or do whatever, right? So they're staying in there. We have our secret door. So now we're in this elbow passage. I think it's kind of 30 feet, elbow, 30 feet, something like that. The boot is trapped. The boot is trapped. Or there's a wall in the boot or both. What's the air current like in this hallway section? Let's give her a test and see. I was gonna roll the wrong dice again. I need a dice tray. I need 18. 18 says we've got a cold current. I need to make a text over here. Let's get you out of the way. You here. Cold current. Air current, that is. Odor. Do you have any odors? 71. Rotting vegetation smell. One thing to be aware of is, remember, like I just mentioned, these tables give no guidance as to how often you should roll them. So don't roll them if you're going to get a whole bunch. If it turns out that we're getting, every passage is not going to change smells. So we want to keep that in mind. So here I have this passage here, and then I have a junction, I have the side passage, I have another passage. I might not roll for another smell. I might have the smell carry through to the junction. Maybe the side passage might have something different. Rooms, but you don't want to let the stuff go crazy. Same thing with these particular odors. You want things to be, or that is the odor rather, like the air currents and things like that. You want it to be somewhat sensical. And so things shouldn't just be, if I go here, I have this passage here as a cold current, and I come to the junction and I got hot current, it just doesn't make sense. Or I have to then think about why does it go from hot to cold, and then that will determine maybe there's a fire in the one room. There's a fire in the junction, something like that. So just gonna keep that stuff in mind because we want things to I like things that make sense. I don't mind having a lot of artistic license and having some kind of fantastical, fun housey kind of elements, but I don't like things to get when it gets too nonsensical that you just can't make sense of the place, then I think you gotta dial it back. And now air quality, 52 was clear. Now let's see how many general things we're getting in here. Roger Gork says in Arizona, you tip a boot upside down before putting them on. Scorpions like to crawl inside. Yeah, that's an interesting note. Good things to keep in mind next time I'm in Arizona. Yeah, I will definitely shake my boots, turn them over before putting it on. Okay, so we got four general things here scattered around. So thing number one, 80 on the button. We got slimy coating on the wall. I'm just gonna say walls. We got some slime in the ice machine. So that's the first thing. Off the table. Oh, bumping stuff. 73. Well, let's see. I might roll this again, but I'm gonna see what I get first. Some rags. I'll roll again. Rags aren't too fun. 84. Slime and some small stones. Small stones, I kind of like that. That feels koboldy. Be sling stones. Somebody were to take a closer look. Be indicative of a battle that had taken place. Perkins said that they added fresh air where a vent to the outside is located on the map. Little tidbits to help hint without giving away to the players. Yep, I like that. Hey, as Gandalf always said, right? You follow your nose. All right, so that was we got two things. We got two more. Three. Get some ashes. Slime ashes. That definitely sounds like there was a battle. Now, last one, number 4. 41. Dried blood. Oh my gosh, definitely. So much. This was the, yep. Old battle site. Battle site. Kobolds fended off the demons, though they paid a high price. Cool. So even though there might not be anything here at the time, there we could see, and this is the thing that I'm always just fascinated by. You just randomly rolling dice, and you get these things that just add up to kind of a scene, and just we can add that into what we've used before, and now we've got this passage. There we go. Just gonna tie these in here just so we make sure we keep them straight. What goes with what? There we go. Oh, Caverna asked what we're using. Hey, Caverna, no problem being late. And yeah, I'm using the 1E DMG. Fergus says, I think that Into the Unknown has a few dead adventures. The entrance is good for new players to investigate these types of situations. Yeah, because you can get clues about what the heck happened to those guys. What happened to those guys? So we're going to be, now we're into this junction. I'm going to keep the cold current. Actually, you know what? I'll roll it. We'll roll it. Because I kind of like the idea that maybe we get different current that will tell us something about this room. 27 gives us stillness. So interesting. The cold current. Maybe it's coming through. Maybe the current's actually leading from the den, from the secret passage in. There's a, there's a oh, what we call just an airflow. And here the air is still. I'll say cold. Turning the corner, kind of maybe that that snuffs out. It's enough to take care of that little breeze, but it's still cold. What's the smell that we get over here? I might just keep it rotting, but 90. Sulfurous smell. I like that one. Spelled sulfurous wrong, I'm guessing. How did they spell in the book? They spelled it like me. So did Gygax get it wrong? Sulfurious. And it didn't actually change the spelling. That looks weird, but I guess that's according to the dictionary, that's what's supposed to be smelled. Sulfurious. Work says maybe there's air ducts. Could be. Could be. Okay, so that was, we got the smell. Is the air here clean still, or is it befogged? Ooh, I got 99. Misted. Some kind of mist. Misty air. Let's call it misty. Misty. So now we're getting, so this is interesting. We probably want to look at what, let's see now, as usual, I'm curious to see if there's anything we're going to get, any objects here that might explain some of this. I got 3 this time. Says players like to do a bit of CSI investigating and helps them to learn how to describe how they're investigating, not just rolling. Yeah, it's what I mean. That's kind of what I like about it's that whole how much you want to rely on skills. If I just say, "Oh, I use my investigation skill," versus explaining, and I'm not saying you don't have to have skills. I'm just saying that I think it's good to, as a GM, to prompt them how. I do that with my guys all the time. They're always kind of wanting to just make kind of a roll, and I'll be like, "Well, how do you do it? Like, what are you doing? Tell me how. Oh, can I use the rope to do this thing?" And I'm like, "Sure, but just explain to me first how you're using the rope." That's how I'll try to get detailed. They had some weird plan about trying to get down like a 60-foot hole with like 30 feet amount of rope, but they had this earth elemental that they summoned. So they're trying to figure out, okay, if we put the earth elemental and climb on their shoulders and do all these things, and they kind of wanted to go. Their first impulse was to say, "Oh, can I use the rope and the earth elemental to get down?" And I said, "Sure. Now tell me how. How are you setting this whole thing up?" And then they went through and figured it out. And I think that kind of I think that's a good rule of thumb for any sort of action. Have them describe how. They don't need to know technically how to use the things, but they should explain at least how they're using it. I use my lock picks to pick the to unlock the lock is fine. I don't need to know. I don't expect you to know the ins and outs of using lock picks in particular, but knowing how to or how you want to use a tool or a skill in a given situation. And this is kind of quickly cooling English breakfast tea for the working man. All right. We got, so I rolled on the first. I got 3 things to roll. I got 41. There's more dried blood, which to me totally makes sense since there was a battle just up the corridor. So why not? We can actually even have that. I'll actually put a note that this is a trail that the dried blood trail, and I'll put it up here too. Trail leads to junction. And here we have the dry blood. I'll put a note. Trail leads to elbow. That's number 1. Number 2. I need a dice tray. 84. More small stones also makes sense. I feel like this is it was a running battle. Now we're getting a sense that there was a running battle in these passages. All right, and then the last one. Ooh, this is, damn it, die. Now we're to the nitty gritty. And yeah, and any time 68. Any time I could jump in and say there should be a body here or something else. 68, there's mold. Common mold. Not yellow mold. Maybe let's find a I don't have my monster manual here, but I do have my BX books. I'm gonna take that out. Put some here. Let's see what molds. What molds do we have available to us? You say common mold, DMG. I'm saying it's an uncommon mold. I don't know what molds we have available to us. I'm just using the sources I have. If I had thought I was going to do this, I do have hidden in my notebooks. I do have the monster and treasure assortments. I don't think it has a good index though. So first level, since it's kind of a first level deal, a lot of stuff here, but nothing that I'm reading as a mold. I don't want to put a gelatinous cube. I kind of like the idea of it's a mold. I still don't see any molds. I might need to look in the mini monster manual. If anybody knows any good molds off the top of their head. Warlock, Wyvern, Orcs, Werebear, Elves. This is now level 2. Giant Shrew, Bandits, Heroes, Owlbears, other stuff. More gelatinous cubes. Never let it be said that they did not like peppering the dungeons with gelatinous cubes. Maybe molds aren't coming up in here at all because they're kind of not random encounters. I bet you that might be it. Because they don't move. All right, I got to look in the book. Flooring Scott says brown mold. Brown mold, is that in BX? Where can we find brown mold? I'm in the, now I've got my BX book open and I'm looking around. I don't think they have the molds all together. I think yellow mode's going to be under Y. Yellow mode is pretty rough. But I don't know if they have any other molds. And this is where maybe I could see, let's yeah, there's yellow mold. Let's see if they have a brown mold, deafening mold. I was gonna say if I don't find a mold in here really quick, let's pull out that home adventure design and see if we can get some kind of mold generated. I'm in the G's. I gotta go. There's gray ooze. You know what? I might need to do, because here's the thing here. Oh, here we go. Yep. All right. So I'm gonna switch it. So it's not gonna be a mold. It's gonna be a gray ooze. And the reason I'm going for the gray ooze, I got too much stuff. The reason I'm going for the gray ooze is that if you notice in the elbow passage, there was a slimy coating on the walls. So we've kind of got that intro. And then here, under the description for gray ooze, it says the seeping horror looks like whetstone and is difficult to see. So we've got kind of this evidence of this slimy coating on the walls, and now you get here, and here there's a gray ooze. Maybe I should, in this case, I'll pick a wall. I'll pick it later. Gray ooze on the wall, or slime on the wall. And now here we have got a gray ooze. Ooze on the wall. And the gray ooze, I'm not going to write down all the stuff here, but just to give the description here, this seeping horror looks like whetstone and is difficult to see. It secretes an acid which does 2d8 points of damage if the gray ooze hits bare skin. This acid will dissolve and destroy magic armor in one turn. After the first hit, the ooze will stick to its victim, automatically destroying any normal armor and doing 2d8 points of damage each round. Gray ooze cannot be harmed by cold or fire, but can be harmed by weapons and lightning. So it's an interesting, and man, so We don't know how it came from, but I'm gonna say that maybe that in the we're looking at the events. What happened here? There was some battle. Maybe the demons, some of the ooze. Where'd the ooze come from? Was it demonic? Was it a demonic summoning? What was it? But we have the gray ooze, and then also makes sense with the sling stones because you can use weapons, but you probably don't want to get in melee because they don't talk about it in the rules. But I can just imagine fictionally you're slamming, say, a club into this ooze, and you get splatter. So here you look and you go, okay, what might they doing? They're using stones, using other things. So makes perfect sense. There's our junction. So here we have this. Yeah, and I just want to make so old battle site. Yep. I'm just going to copy that over here because I want to keep it. That there. Hello. Thank you. There's the junction. I think we're getting some good stuff. Narcosic centispores from Narcosa. I don't think I have Narcosa. Perkins asked maybe the gray ooze is a bit of leftover main demon guts. Oh, interesting. Yeah, it could be. Maybe it's something happens when you kill these demons. They splatter into gray ooze. Maybe there's some chance, 1 in 6 chance when you kill one of those demons that their innards ooze out. I'll make a note. Is the ooze connected to the demons? Maybe on death, 1 in 6 chance demon explodes to or melts. Okay, that's better. Melts into a puddle of ooze. Give that a different color. Yoink. Ba-bam. Nice little note. Now we've got, which way should we go? So we had to stop at this side passage. So we're not going to, we'll leave that alone still since it doesn't lead us in the main thrust of what we're doing. So now we're going to go to this passage over here. We have the door. I don't think we determined what kind of door it is. I don't know if there is a way to determine what kind of door it is, but I will check. So let's just roll back a bit to appendix. Where are we here? Appendix C, appendix A. Have we got door shapes and such? I see doors, passages, special passages. I don't think anything to say what kind of door it is. I don't think. Nope, I don't see. Okay, I don't see that. So we'll go with regular old, or we could just decide. Context can help us figure out whether we want wooden doors, maybe stone doors make more sense, or iron reinforced doors, whatever. All right, now let's go to, so we're in this passage. Let's see what we get for air currents. 51 tells us it's still. We've got odors. 23 says it's dank and moldy, which totally makes sense given everything here. Dank, moldy smell. Okay, now we're on to air. We had this kind of foggy. Where was the misty air? The misty air was where the ooze was, and we could kind of play around, and where mist comes from. Just that there's just high humidity, maybe because the ooze. I don't know. We could probably figure it out, but it kind of makes I could I could see it making at least. I rolled the wrong dice again. Some kind of weird sense. Though we might change it from mist to some other smoke, smog, whatever. 38. Air is clear. All right. Now we get on to our general stuff. Only two things here. 75. There's rubble and dirt. Okay. Rubble. Rubble and dirt. That's what I just got two things, right? 87. Oh, this is cool. There's scattered teeth and fangs. Fangs definitely seem to me. I wonder, you know what? Actually, I'm going to change. All right. So I like what we got, but I'm going to do a little tweaking here. Um, some kind of hanging, some kind of scattered trophies hanging from the ceiling, primarily made of teeth and fangs, held together with. There we go. Purple haze for services. Excellent. Purple haze. Was it purple haze on my mind? Is that how it goes? Can't remember. So that's all we have in this passage. We haven't figured out where the heck the kobolds are headquartered, but I kind of like the idea that they would set up this is it a warning thing? Are these hanging things? Is it a warning, just an identification? Maybe even just a monument to their victory in this running battle we had, that they took whatever remains they could and put them together. Bones. And I'm going to change twine to sinews. Sinews. Creepy for sure. Perkins says these dungeon dressings can add a bit of backstory. Absolutely. Perkins says they use them as prompts in their solo game. Yeah, I think I can definitely see how that would work. All right, so this is our elevator area. First, we have this passage down here. Maybe the kobolds are really they're down that levels where they actually live. They don't live up here. Maybe that might make more sense. Perkins says they like the trophies idea, show the faction conflict to the players. Yeah, there's a lot of signs here because depending on how their wandering monster checks going and what they might get some of these demons that have broken loose. They might see some kobolds, or they might see nothing. Right. So yeah, and if they do end up seeing nothing, they're still getting these clues about this conflict, which can hopefully inform them to when they do run into some of these factions, maybe having an insight into them, and then if they do decide to not fight them and try to socialize with them in some way, they might be able to try to figure some out. What might they want? What might they need? Who are they fighting? That sort of thing. And you can, they could examine the. I'll put this in parenthetically here. There, these demon. So if they get here and they do some examination, and then they see the demons later on, we could probably help them put two and two together. That yes, this seems like these are remains of those demons. So let's go down here to this passage. How am I doing on time? Doing pretty well. All right. Good, good, good. Here. Passage. Got the door. roll for some. Things are always falling down. Okay. 92 on the air. This says a strong wind. Interesting. Where's that strong wind going? Oh, you know what? Well, we have a reason why there might be a strong wind coming, and that's because there's this whole, elevator mechanism. Strong wind. What are we going to get for the odor? 34. Dank, moldy smell. Dank, moldy smell. Coming from deeper down. Presuming this wind is pushing up, kind of coming out from that lower level, then it kind of makes sense. It would be dank and moldy. Now we got that. Oh, the air quality or the air visibility, basically. 80, let's see. 84. Foggy or steamy? Foggy near the floor or steamy, but I'm actually going to change it. I think it makes more sense that it's hazy. I'm going to say that the mechanisms in this elevator, maybe because that third level is kind of infernal, smoke and stuff is coming out. So I'm going to say that's hazy with smoke. And I will want to repeat that maybe even more so in those two rooms. It's coming out of those rooms. Now, how much stuff? Where's our stuff thingy? 2. Okay, we got 2 things again. Thing number 1, 73. Get some rags. Not exciting, but everyone's got rags. And then a cracked flask. What was inside? I don't know. We might want to figure that out. We got the door. We have strong wind, more of that dank and moldy smell, but there is some kind of smoke, and we're just going to say it. The smoke is coming from here. So I'm going to add. So we're going to keep it that there's a. So I'm going to carry this stuff forward. So there's strong wind coming from wind and smoke. Smoke coming from cracks in the floor. Easy. Dank, moldy smell. Well, maybe we would say that would smell of smoke, and you get that kind of smoky smell, but I'll just leave that for right now. I don't need to roll those because I'm going to keep those since we already kind of have a good. I feel like we have a good sense of that already. But now I'll roll to see what other kind of dressing is in the room. 2 things again. 3 ashes. Makes sense. Maybe there's some workings of the machine that are leaking out. And what is that? I got mold again. I don't want mold again. Let's try it again. Oh, I got mold again. 3rd time's the charm. If I get mold again, I'm keeping it. More rags. Well, not exciting, but it is interesting that we almost get this little through line of, oh, they're rags, and then there's rags. So I probably want to think about what were these used for. Maybe, they were putting them over their mouths to keep the smoke out. Sure. Richard Gore says, just doing their chores from the evil lords list. Yeah. Yeah, got to. That was the square room. Oh, that is over there. Okay. This Nope, don't want to do that. I'm gonna keep the. I'll roll for the wind, but I'm gonna keep the hazy. Keep the haze. I think that's a strong local character. But let's see about the current. 9. Slight breeze. Okay, slight breeze. Oops. Hazy. Quality of the air. I kind of feel like this is where the mechanical kind of stuff is. I'm curious what I'm going to get with this. 51. Nope, still clear. All right, well, clear other than the haze. Or actually, I didn't need to roll on that because I had the haze already. That was silly. Now, what kind of things we have? 4. All right, so this room, let's see, we get some good stuff in here. 80. Slimy coating on the wall. Maybe that's inert. Inert demon slime. Number 1. Number 2. Damn it. I keep getting the 60s. No, I don't want dry leaves and twigs. Not appropriate dry leaves and twigs in here. Not feeling that at all. 30. Wall dampness. But I got a slimy coating. I don't need wall dampness and a slimy coating. Let's see, what is this? 50. Another cracked flask. All right. That's fine. I'm going to say it's connected to passage. We'll figure out what's in that. If you can think about what were the kobolds presumably trying to do with these flasks? Were they their little Molotov cocktails that they'd thrown? So I think we can build that into some kind of theme. What have they been doing? What kind of weaponry do they use? Maybe they use these little flasks filled with stuff, and we can incorporate that. And these are their leftovers. So I like that idea. And then that was, let's see, we only won 2, so I need 2 more. 43. There's dung. Dung. I don't know what it does. I don't know why there's dung here, but there's dung here. 77. There's a torn sack. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so there we're done with that room. I'm curious. Here's something to think about. Let's see. Here is my challenge. Here's my challenge. Here is my challenge. What could kobolds have been doing with a flask, a sack, and some dung? What kind of trap? What kind of trick? What kind of maneuver had they done using those 3 items? Let me know. Rasmus says, someone lucky adventurer got both boots stuck in poo. That would be good. Okay. Morgan says they like leaving little clues for the players to uncover. Yep. And I think using these to kind of generate what your clues are. It's almost like here we're getting we don't know the crime or we don't know what's been perpetrated in this space, but we know what was left. So we as the GMs, and you can even leave it to the players. I mean, there's totally something where you could leave these and just know that the kobolds did something to the demons in this space. You don't know what, but here's what's left: a torn sack, some dung, and a cracked flask. And then you could sort of describe the slimy coating as being that kind of splatter from one of these demons. And then you could leave it a little bit up to your players could try to figure out what the heck was being done. But it's a fun thing to think about. It says trying to entice a gelatinous cube into a pit trap. Except we don't have a gelatinous cube and we don't have a pit trap. So they fail on 2 counts. How are we doing on time? Okay, I'll do one more. We'll see if we can get one more here. So we have the slanting passage. Don't have any doors or anything, so let's see what we get on the. Where's the right die? Here we go. On the air quality, or the air current rather, 81. Still and warm. Kind of makes sense. Still warm air. Now the smell. 56 is manure. We need to amend that. We'll have to see. What else do we get? We get the air quality in terms of this is kind of visibility. From a visibility standpoint, it's clear. Okay, that's fine. Now, how much stuff? Two things. Number one, 55. I keep getting the same kind of numbers. There's more that I don't want guano in here. The guano made sense the other area. It doesn't make sense, I think, here. I keep getting the same things. No, dry leaves and twigs. I don't think makes sense here. Sorry, generator. Stop giving me the 60s. I'm getting all 60s. 69 a pick handle. Okay, I'm down with the pick handle. Where's the head of the pick? We don't know. We got a pick handle, and I've really been rolling a lot of 60s, and it just means I'm not getting a lot of these good. There's some kind of dripping. Dripping. What? We don't know. There's dripping. Could be water. Could be something else. Okay, so now let's recap. Let's see where we stand now. So our dungeon, we had determined from yesterday that this dungeon is this location has been the battleground between these mayonnaise, whatever, these little demons and these kobolds. We had decided that they're down on the third level somewhere is where these demons had been maybe unlocked, freed, however they were entrapped, imprisoned, stuck down there. The kobolds accidentally, maybe purposefully, we'll say freed them, but however it happened, they are now in this conflict. The kobolds, for reasons that we haven't really determined yet, could just be from the goodness of their hearts, could be for some other nefarious purpose, have been trying to prevent the demons from getting loose. The upper levels have been mostly remaining clear, though some demons have been somehow getting up now, and then. We had the general layout, a lot of corridors and some rooms. So now we got to fill it out. We recall that in the entranceway, we had a level 1 party that's been hanging out, and we had wondered, we had left kind of as an open question so far as to what their motivations were, whether they were here to help, hinder, did they work for the demons, what were they trying to do? There's only one passage that comes from this entrance. It's a dead end. We went through and added some dressing to the dead end, and we do know there's a secret door. We determined there's a very slight breeze that emanates from that secret door. It smells of manure, or really it's kind of a guano smell. There's a leather boot that's stuck in the guano. We decided one of the party that's the NPC party that's in the entrance lost their boot, and that there are some bats hanging out in there, and that this door the secret door has been sealed and hidden by the kobolds to prevent demons escaping. Coming into this passage that we're calling an elbow passage, has a cold current, smells of rotting vegetables. There's a slimy coating on a wall. There's some sling stones and ashes and dried blood. And we determined it was an old battle site where the kobolds had fended off some of these demons, and they paid a price. Continuing to get to a junction, and in that junction, the battle was clearly a moving battle. There are more signs of it here, more dried blood, more small stones, but now there's a sulfur smell. The air is gone still, and there's more dried blood, misty, but now instead of having slime on the wall here, there is some active gray ooze. And we wondered, is the gray ooze connected to the demons? Don't know yet. Moving past the junction, we end up in this passage with a door on the right. The air is still. It's got a dank and moldy smell. There's some rubble and dirt on the floor, and we decided that there are some scattered trophies that are hanging from the ceiling that are made of the teeth and fangs taken from manes or manas demons, and they're held together with, I'm presuming, demon sinews and bones. And then we continue following that passage. We end up in a slanting passageway where the air is getting warmer. There's kind of the manure smell. There's a pick handle. Maybe it's a leftover from kobold excavations, and there's some kind of dripping. There's another passage that we can get to from there that has a strong wind. There's a door. It still has a dank and moldy smell, but there's a haziness to the air. There's some rags that were left behind, and also a cracked flask. And we're still wondering what might have been in the flask. Going through that passageway, we end up in a square room. This square room is our elevator trap. Or it could just be an elevator mechanism. It goes down to the third level, which I think we decided is where the demons had come from. We get the kind of an updraft of this smoke and a strong kind of warm breeze, maybe because the third level is kind of infernal. So you're getting warmer the further you go down. Definitely got that haziness to it. But there is that kind of dank and moldy smell maybe behind it. There are ashes as well as some more rags. We were surmising maybe that the rags were used. The kobolds were covering their mouths and nose to keep out the smoke. We don't know. And then finally, to the small room that's off to the side, this has a flaming oil trap, and I kind of thought, well, maybe this is where a lot of the mechanisms of the elevator are, and that's why you have oil. And we could think about there are big gears or things in the works that are keeping this thing moving. A little bit of a haziness, smoke stuff coming in from the elevator room. There's a slimy coating on the wall, but it's inert, sort of like in the earlier passageway. There's another cracked flask. There's some dung, and there's a torn sack. And I put the challenge to you. What did the kobolds do with a torn sack, some dung, and a cracked flask? Inquiring minds want to know. I want to know. And that's where we ended up. Perkins says, cool stuff. They used the Tome of Adventure Design tables to determine the history of the dungeon and how it became dangerous. I might do that. Maybe that'll be next time. I was thinking I would pull out the Tome of Adventure Design this session, but I didn't need it. Didn't need it. There was enough to keep me going with a DMG for another sesh, which is cool. I love mixing and matching my sources. I think that's great. But I think also doing one is nice because a lot of folks might only have one or have the other. So if you only had the 1E DMG, you can see how much you can get done with it. I mean, the 1E DMG is a super dense book, and I got amazing amounts of stuff that I forget all the stuff that it has in it. I had totally forgotten about those dungeon dressing stuff. And there's even an appendix after that. I think it's Appendix I that I hadn't looked in ages that had all these herbs and medicinal stuff that you can pull out. So great stuff. Frederick says it's funny how all the Japanese games assume the dungeon is alive, growing, and trying to kill them. I didn't know there's a Japanese thing, but I don't doubt it. I remember wasn't that something that the Acquisition Incorporated B Team game had a concept of this kind of living dungeon creature? It's a neat idea. Definitely gives things a different character. Perkins says to add a few traps too. Well, we have a big trap. We have two big traps. One is this square room here is an elevator trap. I mean, it was we rolled it up. It's a trap, but we're kind of positioning as a real elevator. And then in the room next to it also has a trap. So we do have those two traps there. This is the first level, and I like how it's kind of setting things up a lot. Well, this is one of those things too that what I would do is, and maybe I'll get around to it, is if we have a second and a third level, and we'll just say this is a 3-level dungeon. If we determine some more traps that are say on that second level, then maybe I would come up and put some of them up here, but maybe they're already triggered. So you get a sense of here's the first layer of traps that you see it, right? You see the pit traps open. Now you go down a level, now the pit traps are hidden. But you've been kind of given that cue is, oh, that's the stuff they're using. So, as usual, you keep filling stuff up. It gives you ideas to go back and amend stuff. But I think where we ended up for this, really good stuff. I would love to do this on stream and draw it out. But if I do that, I got to mess around in dungeon draft. If there's any other really good, I don't mind spending a little bit of coin on something if it's good. There's a free tool to draw some dungeons. Otherwise, I might just do it on paper. So I kind of just feel comfortable that way, and all the weird angles and stuff you don't have to fight. Sometimes I think of some of the things you get in some of the dungeon programming, you have to kind of fight to get them, whereas you're just drawing it by hand, you can just draw it. So I might do that, and then, or maybe we'll go on, and we still have some gaps to fill in. We still have a passageway that goes out to nowhere, and then we've got more levels. So, you know, a lot to do, but I think we got a lot done, and hopefully it was fun to watch the process. I always find when I'm watching other people go through this stuff that gives me ideas. Hopefully, you got some ideas. Hopefully, it gave you some, I don't know, confidence that you can use some of these sources, even though they may seem sort of arcane or weird or just not necessarily intuitive to use, but how you can get good stuff out of it. I don't think I have any particular programming notes. Today is already Thursday. The week has flown by, at least for me. Uh, I'll should see you tomorrow with the our Game Master weekly roundup. I'm not sure if I'll do it at 1 or 4 tomorrow. I kind of play it by ear. I'll play it by ear a little bit with the scheduling, though. I am going to try to kind of lock in a little bit going forward, so I can get things set up a little earlier, and then people can kind of uh, I guess, be aware of what's going on when. Anyhow, that's all I've got. Game on, everybody. And I will talk to you later. Bye now.